Hi, I'm Dr. Bertice Berry, and I really need to tell you this story. My brother called to remind me of something. He was saying how we'd experienced so many crazy things together, and he said, whenever I'm with you, something crazy, amazing happens. I get to see life a different way. Well, this was many years ago, and we were visiting with my mom when she was still living in Delaware, and she lived in a neighborhood that was when we were growing up, it was predominantly Italian. Now it's more WASP. You could tell I'm from the North because when you distinguish between those two things, you are a Yankee through and through. Anyway, so we're in this neighborhood, and I get a call from my financial person that I need to make a wire transfer. I need to move some money from my personal into my business because it just shouldn't be there. Anyway, the bank was close enough that we could walk. So I said to my brother, hey, walk with me to the bank. We're doing this. And so we go in the bank, and the young man working security looks at us and says, food stamps is on Wednesday. And my brother said, I just said, yeah, okay. And I just kept walking. And, I walked over to a teller. I probably walked over to a bank officer because of the transaction that I was doing. And my brother, on the other hand, took the young man aside and he said, young man, clearly you have not had proper training. And he went on to tell him that you can't make assumptions of people based on, their race, especially when their race is the same as yours. And so he said, I don't know who trained you, but they didn't do a good job. And so I went over to a bank officer and I said, I need the the manager of this branch. And the person was like, well, I can help you. What is it? I said, no, clearly you can't help me because you got the same training. You got the same training as this guy at the door, and you can't help me. So she's kind of looking at me. And so I call over the branch manager. The branch manager comes and I explain what happened. Now, my brother tells me this story, and it was something that I had to kind of remember, but then immediately I remembered it. It was a huge transaction. It was something that I couldn't believe had happened to me, that I was able to make this kind of money given the way we had grown up. And so within me, there was this kind of a doubt like, is this really in my account? Do I really have that much money in there? And then for my brother, it was, he didn't tell me the conversation he had. And I never told him the conversation I had because I wasn't talking about, look how much money I have or any of that. But I had this feeling of, is this really, wow? And it wasn't an imposter thing. It was, is this contract real? Um, and here I was being told to go get the food stamps to come back on Wednesday when there were food stamps. And I remember my first thought being, when we were extremely poor, my mother made just a little bit too much for us to be able to get food stamps. And oh, how we needed them. Oh, how we needed them. My brother reminded me of another time when we were out in California and I lived in a neighborhood and we were walking up the mountain. We would do this routine. I would do this routine. I would warm up on weights and then I'd run up the mountain. And then the mountain had an amphitheater upstairs, up at the top of it. And I would run the stairs once I got there. I was kind of crazy. Anyway, my brother said we were walking up the mountain and this woman came up to us and said, this is a wonderful neighborhood to exercise in, isn't it? And he said, and I said, and to live in, and just kept walking. He said, sis, you like deal with people. And I said, no, it's just that we constantly have these opportunities to either teach, fight, walk away, and all of those can be love if you fight with justice and truth in mind. Um, I guess what I'm saying to you is so many times in my life, I have done everything we were told to do, to work hard, to be respectable, to do the right thing, to stay on the side of right. And even when you get there, there's somebody telling you you don't belong here. I want you to know that, as my mother would say, you belong in every room you made your way to. And as I've pointed out many times before, the real imposters are the ones who were handed the key. The real deal is the one who had to work for it. I love you.